Good evening, everybody. So you know my name. I'm Geneva. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for asking me to come up and share. It's an honor for you guys to ask me to come. And second of all, I'd like to thank my ex-friend, Mary Jane. In the spirit of this fellowship, I love her. I wouldn't take anything for her. When she told me she was going to introduce me, I got a little fear in my heart. Because I need to share with you guys, Mary Jane was my sponsor. She was one of my sponsors. And she will always be my sponsor. So as I tell my story, when I talk about women with horns and tails, just include her. But at any rate, I'm just glad to see all you guys. You don't know how many faces out there I know, how many names and faces and special people in my life. I've got one that came up from DeKalb, too, sitting there. You know, and it's great. I walked in and I saw, one of the first faces I saw was our new delegate from Illinois North. And Libby is just the dearest thing, and I wanted to congratulate her. And I'm looking around and I see a partner in crime when I was the delegate. We called the New York Taxi. And if you've never been to New York, it's simply a car that's all rusted with springs, with a driver that needs a shave and looks like he's lost. But we did, and we did it in the name of service, so we trust the higher power. But that's not why you sent for me. You sent for me because you wanted me to tell you how it was, how it is, and how I'd like it to be. Well, background is simple. Most of you know I'm a Southern girl, born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi. I am the last of 10 kids. I am not the baby. I am the last. I married the baby of 7. And folks, that truly does make a difference. And I'm going to do what I sometimes forget to tell you. I forget to tell you that he is still alive today. I was at a convention once and one of the members came up and she said, "Oh, you have my sympathy. How long ago did he pass away?" I said, "That's him standing right there." She said, "He didn't divorce you?" I said, "No." The other thing I'm going to tell you is September the 17th, I had been in this program over 25 years, and I won't tell you how many over I've been in. But for the grace of God and the help of a lot of people sitting in this room today, I can say I'm still a very, very grateful member of Al-Anon. And I'll tell you why I'm grateful. When I tell you I was the last of 10 and I married the baby of 7, I married an alcoholic. Didn't know anything about this disease when I married him. I married him a young boy that drank too much. I qualify as an adult child of an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic. And I listened to Brittany. And Brittany, I know where you're coming from. I qualify. My dad came into my house when I was 14 years old and said he quit his job. After 20-some years of working, he decided he was going to quit his job and make a career out of getting drunk. And to a lot of people, that doesn't sound so bad. But when you're a child and you're being teased by the rest of the world because all you want is the dad next door. The dad next door that got up and did things with his kids. He took them to church on Sunday mornings. My dad sent us to church. He didn't take us. The man that was out there washing his cars and wetting up his kids and just having just a good old time, while mine was either getting drunk or already drunk, trying to get to the next drink. And it's devastating. So for all of you that's got kids, please be careful what you do to kids. We know it's a family disease, but there's a pain that you grow up with. But for the grace of God, Al-Anon helped me get rid of that pain. but it's a pain. And I think about it today. Please be careful what you do to children. If you're not going to do it, it's better to say no than it is to say yes and hurt them. They'll remember that when they get to be 60. They'll remember the pain. And a lot of young people don't make it to Al-Anon and to Al-Anon. And we wonder why our kids are bitter and angry and doing some real strange things. But at any rate, my dad was an alcoholic. He passed away a few years ago, and may he rest in peace. But before he died, we did make peace. Because as a result of my dad's drinking, I became what is known as a horrible little kid. Truth is a lie. I was a horrible kid. Because you know why? I learned in life that I was a pre-candidate for Al-Anon and Al-Anon because I learned how to be just as cunning and baffling and mean and evil. You see, when kids teased me, I had one or two choices. I could outlaugh them, look at the size of his mouth. Or I could beat him up. It was their choice. Everybody got choices. They had one. I became a bully early in life. For the people I liked, I would just outlaugh them. For the people I disliked, I beat them up. So I learned how to fight and be mean in life. But I was also a rebellious kid. I'm from the South, back in the good old days where, Bible thumpers. I heard the first speaker said Bible thumpers. My whole house was Bible thumpers except for my dad. But I learned how to be mean and rebellious. And that was just unheard of back in those days. I got that way because these Southern people got these rules and sayings that drive you crazy. A few in particular I'm going to share with you. You have to obey your father. How you going to make me obey a drunk? I'm going to obey him as long as you are present. And as soon as you leave, if he says up, I'm going down. If he says don't, I am. It was just something in me. But as long as my mom was around, and I'll tell you about her, because Joyce here reminds me a lot of my mom. My mom was about the height of Joyce, for nothing. But she carried a lot of weight. And also she was known as the meanest woman in the world. This is the only woman I know could cure a cold. She looked at it, it left. And I would always say to her, if you could do this, why can't you stop my dad from drinking? And here goes one of these sayings. Your father is your father. And then she had one of these Bible scriptures, something about obey your mother and your father. It always worked out to their advantage, trust me. Because see, they had already told us about this fire and brimstone God, that mean man that was going to burn you up if you didn't do what was right. They put the fear of us in that. Now, if you can do all of this, why can't you stop my dad from drinking? It bothered me. I'm the last of 10. So in being the last of 10, here's what happened. You get 9 older siblings that tell you about this man. And my dad was a dashing man back in his day that stood 6'3", and he just wore everything well. He was a good-looking man. When I say was, I didn't know him. I didn't know that man that my brother and sisters feared. The one they tell me could hit a horse and knock him down. I didn't know that man. That man that they thought was the best thing since sugar. Didn't know him. So no matter what my dad said to them, they readily jumped and did it. Because they knew that man that I never knew. The man I knew couldn't tell me jack. Because I was angry and I was hurt. And they would always say to me, one day daddy's going to get a hold of you, and you know what I would think to myself? And I'm going to get a hold of him right back. There was just absolutely no fear in him. I just didn't, that his drinking and the way he drank and the way people teased me, and all I would ask him to do was just be my daddy. That's all I wanted, which wasn't a lot for me. Just be like Mr. Powell next door. Be like Mr. Johnson down the street. Just a glimmer of being my dad, of a real daddy. So I was always in trouble with that little woman that was for nothing. And she had a habit of beating my butt almost every day. And the one thing I remember that he said to her, he said, when will you realize beatings just ain't gonna get it? She didn't listen to him then, and she continued. And I'm probably the only kid that got a whooping every day. Every day I was determined to do something. I learned now that I should have been in Al-Anon when I was born. Because I planned what I was going to do. I knew what she was going to do when she found out. But it was okay. Because I was bound and determined to do it. And even sometimes she was a witch. She would say, and if you do so-and-so, I am going to spank your butt. And you know what I said? I'm going to do it. So sometimes I got a whooping prior to doing it. But I got to tell you, I look back now, I didn't care then either. I didn't care at that point that she was going to get me. I was just determined to do it. So to show you that I was a strong-willed, bad kid, okay, I did these things. Now, here goes the good part. There's a boy that moved across the street from me. When I first saw him, I couldn't stand him. But his niece and I were friends. But as time went on, and I saw more of him, I started to like him. The one thing he did was he drank. But in my pea brain and my determination, all he needed was the love of a good woman. So, August the 14th, 1966, I married the man that I have today. We'll be married 40 years pretty soon. Okay? Now, he never asked me to marry him. I told him we were getting married, and he said, okay. Now, we had the old-fashioned magnolia wedding on the front porch of your mom's estate, the whole 9 yards. We had a nice reception at this little lounge in the afternoon. We partied all night like we do. We went to bed. He woke up the next morning, and he wanted to know what was I doing in his bed. Folks, that didn't tell me nothing. I went on to explain to him how we had gotten married yesterday, and it was okay. We didn't have a honeymoon, and my husband, Bob, and I worked together. So we went to work that Monday. We worked all week in Mississippi back in the day. The man went to work. He worked all week. On Fridays, they come in. They jump sharp, and y'all know what I'm talking about. If a man's got on green, trust me, his underwear, his socks, and everything else is green. If he got on white, it's all white. If it's gold, it was a thing back then. They jumped sharp like that, and they went to a hole in the wall with seats and dirt and sat down. In this case, a lot of people don't know, but it's called the Big House down in Mississippi. One door in, one door out. But he went out with his buddies. He came in that Friday night, and he was drunk. Now remember, did I tell you that we lived across the street from each other? So I did what any pre-Al-Anon person would do. I got that suitcase and moved back home. that Saturday morning, he came over there, and he came with the puppy dog eyes, and and he said he was sorry, he wouldn't do it again, he wouldn't get drunk again, and he wanted me to come home. And then that little 4'0" lady gets involved. She says, that boy works 5 days a week, and he has a right to get drunk on weekends. That's one of those Mississippi sayings I'm telling you about. My mom was okay with my husband's alcoholism. Now remember, she got an alcoholic. Now the other part I want to share with you before I get going here is there's 7 girls and 3 boys. The 3 boys could drink. It was okay. She never would allow one of her girls to take a drink of anything past Kool-Aid. Let me tell you about another saying. It says, if a man gets drunk and roll over in the mud, if he gets up and take a bath, he's still a man. But if a woman gets drunk and roll over in the mud, and she never would finish it, she would just shake her finger. So the size of this mouth said, well, if a woman take a bath, she's still a woman too. This is why I wear partials today. Okay? That backhand was a mess. So it wasn't my mom I could go to say I didn't like it. But with the little puppy dog eyes, and you just been married a week, and he looked so cute, you say, okay, you go back home. I went back home. We moved here. I had the only suitcase. It was actually a Foot Locker that made more trips across the street than most people make to work. But I decided after a few times of doing this, that my mom didn't understand what I was saying. My sisters, they didn't understand because most of their husbands drank too. And they was just satisfied with that, but I wasn't. I was not satisfied with this. So I thought, being a good person, I could teach him how to drink. Okay? So I sat him down and I explained to him, let me teach you how to drink. So one of my first lessons was this. I told him when we were out, and I held up one finger, that meant don't order another drink. Okay? And it worked that time. We were out, he'd had a couple of drinks, I held up my finger, he didn't order another drink. I got this stuff, right? We went out another time, I held up my finger, but see, he didn't see it. He didn't see it because he ordered another drink. So what I did was I held it up a little bit higher. He didn't see it because he ordered another drink. The third time, I held my finger up like this, and he looked at me and said, what the hell you pointing at? And ordered another drink. That didn't tell me nothing. Now, remember I told you I was born evil? That didn't work, so all I had to do was come up with something else, okay? And I got to tell you a little bit about my husband. My husband is 5'6", and on a good day, he could weigh 140 pounds, right? On a good day. But the man is evil, okay? Son of Satan. When he drinks alcohol, there's something in him that says, you are 6'6", and you weigh 500 pounds. It's something in that alcohol that gives him the belief that he can beat the world. I think it's a height thing, but we never really talked about that because he's a little sensitive about his height. But when he drank, he would love to fight. He would go in a bar and pick on the biggest person in the bar to fight with. See, I'm a witness that God takes care of babies and alcoholics. Because some of the people he fought with and won, he never should have. But just to let you know a little bit about my husband. Now, you got to know that when I plan things, I do try to plan it well. So it ain't like it was easy. There used to be a picture on called Dark Shadows. Okay? So it just gave me ideas. If you're evil, what do? You don't supposed to drive a stake in their heart? And then Rod Serling had the Twilight Zone. And I love that picture. So it was real easy. This was a quick fix for me. Put him in the Twilight Zone. He would go out and get drunk. And back then, a shot was like 75 cents. So what you did was you had a lot of change in your pocket. So I'd let him come in and get drunk. I'd take all the greenbacks out of his pocket and save change all week to put change in his pocket. I don't wear makeup. And then I bought some lipstick and liquid makeup, and I put some on his collar and on his neck. And then I'd wake him up and raise hell because he'd been out drinking with another woman. I got so good at that, I actually believed it. That was just one. And then I remember when he would come in drunk, and I always say, if he's drunk, people act like little kids, so they should be whooped like little kids. All week long, I planned on how and what I was going to whoop his butt with. And I whooped him with rope to shoes to sticks to whatever. But the one thing I loved the most was at this extension cord. It was like a telephone piece of cord. So I would actually just whip his butt up good. I got deep satisfaction out of that. And then the next day, I would try to help him figure out what happened to him. And actually get mad with somebody for doing that to my husband. But all good things must come to an end. That kind of left one evening he came in, he was staggering, and I was like, ooh, I got him again. I went to get my extension cord, and I drew it back, and I found myself coming from over behind the bed, wondering how I got there. But what happened was he wasn't drunk, he just pretended. So when I drew back, he drew back and hit me and knocked me over behind the bed. And I had to get up laughing because I didn't know how I got there. You know, he was like, I knew something. I knew you were doing something to me. I knew it. But I'm laughing, but now the drinking has progressed. My evilness has progressed. That Satan had progressed. And we've got something else. We've got 2 little girls. And I'm sick and tired now of being sick and tired, and nobody understands. And I got to tell you, I'm one of these people, you can't lick them, join them. Well, I tried drinking with him. And I remember this stuff. That's why you don't drink J and B out of the green bottle now. Because what happens is you pass out and you wake up, your hair and your toenail hurt at the same time with everything in the middle. But now I don't know what to do, but nobody understands. Okay? And then he's getting into trouble, being the baby of 7, who comes from a little money in the family. He was constantly getting in trouble, and his parents was constantly buying him out of situations because he was the baby. He was notorious for shooting people, taking people's stuff just because he thought that alcohol told him he was big. So it had gotten so out of hand. We lived in a subdivision in Jackson where everything in all these families were huge families. So it was a pact between these families, the 3 families, that you didn't fight. If one of them did something to me, the matriarchs of the family had to sit and talk about it because it's 1 million of them and 1 million of us and 1 million of the other ones. So somebody's going to get hurt. So the matriarchs worked it out. He, unfortunately, being married to us, picked on one of the larger families. They don't know him from a can of beans. And it was a big thing. When they did discover who he was, he had told this man, if you see my footprints going one way, turn around and go the other one. Don't even cross my footprints. One night at a bar, this guy was telling me what happened and how he didn't know that he was a part of our family and he needed to fix it. And my husband came out of the bathroom and attacked him. And there was this big fight. We had, unfortunately, taken his pistol out of his car that night before we left home. Well, as luck would have it, This Bob went to the car to get this car out. It was in a parking lot at a bar. And this man walked up to the car and pulled the trigger, and the firing pin jumped out the back. But for the grace of God, that could have killed my husband. But God takes care of babies and alcoholics. But we were at that point now where something had to give. And fortunately, his brother, who lived in Minnesota at the time, had been in Minnesota for a number of years, decided that Bob should come to Minnesota, so he said he was going to leave Mississippi and go to Minnesota. And I was all for that, because Bob's brother used to drink, but my sister-in-law stopped him from drinking. So I'm all for Bob going there, and then they're going to show me how to stop Bob from drinking. Well, we put him on the train, and I got a call 2 days later it said, you now live in Chicago, Illinois. Now, do you know when people in Mississippi hear about people in Chicago? So I immediately said, I'm not coming to Chicago. I want no part of Chicago. But there's this little lady I was telling you about. She said, a woman and her children needs to be with the husband. So here I am. My husband had been here for a month, and he had gotten us an apartment. He had started work for Admiral, and she put us on the train, and here she sent us up to Chicago. Well, in my job, I transferred to Chicago. My husband had told me, I'm working, Jan, I'm not drinking. I let all that alone. All I want to do is be a husband and a father. So here I am. We got to Union Station, he got us off the train, and he was drunk. But he told me he was only drinking because he was celebrating his family coming home. We got to the west side of Chicago at 23 South St. Louis at this apartment. And there were 4 men standing there with bags in their hand. And each one of them said, hi, Bob. Folks, that didn't tell me nothing. Well, that Monday, I had to go to work. I worked weekends, he did not. Well, on my first weekend, I got a call from my sister-in-law who said my baby daughter, who was maybe 4 years old at the time, had cursed her out. And I asked, where was their father? She didn't know. I got off of work and came home, and he was laying in the floor drunk with a 4- and a 5-year-old at the house. So I got angry, and I did what any good woman would do. I got back on that train and headed to Mississippi. My husband drove to Mississippi faster than that city of New Orleans got there. Because when I got off the train, he was there with my mom, with her, you're going home. That boy works 5 days a week. He got a right to get drunk. So we ended up dropping her off at home, and he drove right back. You see, I knew then that I couldn't go home because she didn't understand. Well, I said, we got a saying, when they get busy, they get better. Well, I learned this. Keep him busy. He won't have time. So I would make him a list of things that he must do while I was at work. One of his musts was to cook. And, wash, mop, cook, clean, all that. The cooking part. The next week or so, I got a call from the fire department. You see, he did just what I said. He did cook. He just never cut it off. So I did what any good pre-Al-Anon person would do. I again got on that train and went home. And again, I met the little lady and the man at the train station. But now I'm tired. And I want no more of this. So now I'm evil, remember. I'm going to get him back. I'm going to get him back. So I started to do things. I started to do things such as stick matches between his toes, stick matches, light them, put them out, put me some more in, light them, put them out. Well, I blinked, and I forgot to put them out. So it burned his foot. But when you drunk, all you do is say, So I put his sock back on. And the next day, I tried to figure out what he ate to mess up his foot. But all I accomplished then was, it was so blistered, he ended up with a couple of more days off work, which meant he had a couple of more days to drink. Now, I had been here we'd been here maybe 2 months before he changed jobs. Admiral, he got laid off from Admiral, so he started driving, which was okay with me, which is what he used to do, was to drive trucks. All truck drivers from Mississippi, they have to have their little cowboy boots, and they wear their pistol in one side and their whiskey bottle in the other one. Am I right, all you truckers out there? That's what you do. And, you know, he was local to over the road, and that was pretty much okay, you know, as long as you get out your life. But then when they do their downtime, y'all know what I'm talking about, all you do is drink. So all I got to do was think of things to do to him. Okay? He was a chicken plucker. He ran with Mule Skinner and the Bounty Hunter, the three wildest, craziest people in the world that haul gasoline. The real gasoline, 50 tons of gasoline. They let three major idiots out there driving. I can't figure that one out yet. But it had gotten to the point now where my husband and I weren't getting along. We were actually fighting. We were doing the fist fighting thing. And I have to be honest with you, I started most of those fights because I didn't have anything else to do. I was mad. Nobody to talk to. Nobody understood. So I would do things to aggravate him. Like I tell you, when he's bald today, but he used to have nice hair. I could take my time and straighten it and curl it. I could put makeup on it. He would look pretty and push him outside. And I remember the last time they stopped me from doing that is because when he went outside, his buddies was telling him, man, your wife is crazy. And he out there posing and doing all this for him, and I had to beg him to come inside because I didn't want the kids to see him, you know that. But I thought I could embarrass him. That didn't work. Okay, we do what all Al-Anons do. I cried, I begged, I pleaded, I withheld, I cussed him out, I fought him, all of that. Because the drinking was getting to me. Now, I'm the one that's going to the doctor. I've got this pain in my stomach like you wouldn't believe. It's in my stomach and my back. And I go to the doctor regularly, once a week. Give you Maalox and something called a Valium. I had Rainbow Bright at my house. I never took Valiums because I remember I got little kids, and Valiums make you all woozy and funny feeling. So I never took them. But he gave them to me. He gave me pink, white, blue, all these colors. He didn't understand what I was saying. I was hurting. I actually was hurting in a lot of pain. But alcoholism can do that to you. When you don't know what to do, your body starts to eat itself in the form of an ulcer. Because I was just tired. Now the kids of age and they're acting out. The drinking's getting worse. I'm praying to God. I'm a Southern Baptist. I'm praying to God. God, kill him. He ain't doing that. I prayed a solemn prayer. Kill him. Well, God didn't do it. Because I had asked him to do it, he didn't do it. I stopped going to church. You know, you don't do what I want you to do, I ain't doing what you want me to do. It's a trade-off here. But I remember, like I told you, he was hauling gasoline, and I had told God to kill him. He didn't. We got a thing in the mail, an envelope from the insurance company, and I opened it, and on there I was reading this, and there was a word. It said, double indemnity. And it went on to tell me that if he died naturally, I was going to get $250,000. But if he died accidentally, I would get $500,000. Look out, $500,000, because here I come. This is in my mind. So I go back to God again. Okay. Killing. What you waiting on? I told you to kill him. Okay, you want me to wait a while? All right, let's see. Perfect opportunity. When we gonna kill him? Okay? I heard him tell some friends. They were down in the basement bragging. And we come out of Montana. We was loaded. We didn't stop till we got to Iowa on a sheet of glass. I said, okay, now why you didn't do it? That was your opportunity right there. What's wrong with you? You don't do what people tell you to do? All right, I'm through with you. You won't do it. I don't want no more to do with you. I made up my mind. God, if you don't do it, I am. And from the bottom of my heart, when I say I was, that was it. I was bound and determined I was going to kill him. I got the pain in my stomach. I got 2 young girls acting out. Don't know why, because their daddy drinks, right? I got him who just didn't care. Well, that's what I said. And then I got the opportunity to get $500,000. All I got to do is kill him. So I made up my mind. The one thing he did when he got drunk was come home. So I needed to tell his sisters, build up the scenario how, he got drunk last night and I didn't see him for 2 days. You have to set the stage for this kind of stuff. And then when he was home, he would do when he would do that fall back stuff, that lay back, he'd do interior decorating for people. And he was excellent at everybody else's house. I mean, he could really make everybody else's house look so good. That's like a mechanic. He don't fix his own car, right? But he came inside this day, and he had this orange and black Black & Decker saw. And do you know what a sick mind can do with a saw like that? I go, good. Now, he got this saw, and it would cut through anything. He go to your house, and he puts this plastic and this drop stuff down so you don't get your furniture dirty and the carpet dirty. Now, he's got these 2 horses that they call horses that he used to cut on and make all the pretty little trim. So, all I got to do is get him in the basement, put these Valiums in this beer, let him drink it, it's going to knock him out. Fill up the car with gas. I need some garbage bags, because I could take him and cut off a leg, a thigh, a head, a hip, take a leg to Evanston, a head to Harvey, another part to Wheaton, another part to Indiana. They were never going to put Humpty Dumpty together again. So, that day I tell him to come in the basement. But what you didn't tell me is you can't pour the beer in the glass first and drop the Valiums in it, because it foams all over the place. You have to put the beer in the bottom and then let the Valiums mix up and then slowly add the beer so it doesn't foam. So my first plan that day, I had the car full of gas, I had the garbage bags, I had everything. I was going to kill him. So I had to wait on that plan, because he wasn't going to drink this beer with this foam in it. He wasn't crazy. But when I did actually get ready to carry through this plan, he was in the basement. The Valiums had settled down in the beer. And I knew that this was my opportunity. My doorbell rang. And it was some friends of ours who play a game called Be It Wiz. They came over to play this game. And as a rule, they never came to my house without calling first. I told you I was evil. But for the grace of God, I know today why they came, because I was tired. My last quest to kill him was a Saturday evening, and it was in July. And he had been out with his buddies, and they had been drinking, and they'd been drinking and driving. And he came in, and he didn't say much. I started trying, but he was too drunk to argue back and fight. That's no fun. But he just went in, he fell out on my bed, and he fell out spread eagle. And I watch Westerns, and Indians tie people to the stake. And my daughters had been out jumping rope, and they had asked to go over to her sisters, and I said, fine. They dropped the rope in the floor. And I was getting ready to cook some fried chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes. And I was cutting up this chicken, and I saw the rope there, and he was laying there just like that. And I thought, I'm going to tie him to the stake. I don't know why, I just did it. I cut up the rope, and I tied him. And I went back in, and I was cutting this chicken, and somehow he woke up. And he woke up hollering like a crazy person. And I remember walking to the bedroom door with this knife and saying, when I finish cutting this chicken, I'm going to cut your throat. Everything in me knew that when I finished cutting that chicken. So he started yelling and screaming and hollering, and I had to let all the windows down in the summertime so the neighbors wouldn't hear him hollering. And then I would go back to their room and say, shut up, because when I finish cutting this chicken, I'm going to cut your throat. Everything in me knew that I was going to I didn't care about going to jail then. I was going to cut his throat because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I have no God, I have no family, I have no friends, because at this point you got two sets of friends, and you all know that. Oh, poor baby, it'll be all right. Leave him, he ain't no good no way, take him for everything he got. That ain't what you want to hear. Something's missing here. So I knew that. I knew that I was going to cut his throat because I'm tired. I walk around, I work in the corporate world, where you walk out the door, you slap on a smile, and you wear it all downtown and all through the company, okay? And then you come home and you take it off when you get to the door and you lay it on that end table because that's where you're going to pick it up the next day. Nobody knows at that company what you're going through. You can't tell your coworkers, I'm married to an alcoholic and he's driving me crazy. So you don't function. You don't exist. You simply function every day. You don't take that to the job. I don't go to church. I can't tell the preacher. Now, the people in my neighborhood, my neighbors knew he was a drunk, only they called him a happy drunk. I didn't like that either. So you see, it's all bottled up inside. Then they want to know why you ain't nice to the bus driver. You ain't got no more niceness. You're going to spend all of that on the job. So your transportation getting there, you don't care. And then people come up to you, and this gets me. Oh, don't I look nice? I didn't care how nice you looked. I was going to find something wrong with you to make you feel bad, because that's how I was feeling. And I used to tell them, you know what? I owe y'all an apology, because a lot of times they look so very nice. But you think I could say that? No, honey, that don't look right on you. You too fat. They would say what came up, came out. But I was miserable. Absolutely miserable inside. Well, that day, the only thing saved him after that last time when I finished cutting that chicken was the fact that my daughter knocked on that door because she wanted that same rope to go back over to her sister's house to play with. So I had to hurry up and untie him because I don't want them to see their mom like this. And he was all witty and hyper, and he was... When you hear his story, you'll see that he was really glad that baby came, because God takes care of babies and alcoholics. He said I had this look that he knew that I would kill him, and I would. But time went on, and it got worse. But I did what any good person would do. I left it. I left my husband, and I did file for divorce. But I left. I work downtown Chicago. My cousin that I'm living with lives midway. We live on the other end. I live on the west side of Chicago. Now, here's a trip every day where you get up. I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get the kids ready, take them to school, come back, get ready for work, go downtown, leave work at 2:30 so I can go back past where I'm living with my cousin to pick up the kids from school, come back and bring them to my cousin's house and go home. Now, you tell me that ain't crazy. Well, that didn't last because it started to get to me. Excuse me. And then my daughter, he calls my daughter and he says, call this place called AA for me. And she looked up the number, she got him, and they told us that he had to call himself. His last drinking bout that I can really tell you about was, if you've ever been into Chicago, there is a expressway called the Dan Ryan. Okay? You come around the Dan Ryan to get on the Eisenhower, which is how you go when you're going west to where we live. Well, remember, I got to tell you about my double indemnity. My double indemnity at this point, after God wasn't going to do it the way I told him to do it, I knew I was going to kill him somehow. So I made plans for his funeral. I worked downtown, and there was a store downtown called Shanebird's. And they had this really sharp black hat that I wanted to wear to his funeral, so I bought it. And I went on and I bought this hat so I would practice my crying at his funeral. You know, I wanted to be the grieving widow, but I was going to be a sharp widow. I was going to have on this black dress that was just so. And I was going to have two black limousines, one white one with the horse and the carriage, you know. I was going to be this grieving widow, $500,000 richer. Just had to wait. So I needed to practice Well, as luck would have it, folks, one day I get a call, and all you truck drivers know what I'm talking about. I got a call from dispatch, and they time it just so by the time dispatch calls you and tells you there's been an accident, there's 2 truckers ringing your doorbell. They're coming to get you. That means there's a serious accident. You're either going to go to the morgue or to the hospital. But you know you're going to one. So I broke down and started crying. Here come my $500,000. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And they're comforting me. They put me in this car, and they're taking me to the site of the accident. And I'm crying. Oh, how I'm going to spend this money? I got to get this certain black dress, and it would be tacky to wear these mink coats, but I had to get me and my daughter mink coats, my 2 daughters mink coats. Oh, Lord. And I just had to have the right pair of shoes, and I wondered did they sell them shoes. Evans had those shoes I wanted, by the way. And I'm just crying, please don't let nobody beat them borrow my shoes. So they do that. They comfort you so well. And these are tears of joy. I'm just good. I'm good. I needed a cameo. I need an Academy Award for that. Anyway, so they got me there, and they're hosing it down. They got all the fire departments and everybody there. They're hosing this truck down because now this truck looks like an accordion. As you know, when he came off the Eisenhower, off the Dan Ryan, he never made it to light. There was this big turn, and he never straightened up. And he jacked, and that jack with all that gasoline crushed it. And now they're there because they don't want it to explode. It can't catch on fire. With that kind of gasoline, we'd probably taken out Chicago. And they're cutting, trying to get him out of this truck while they're hosing him down. And they made the last cut in this truck and kind of did a small tug, and he jumped out. Now I'm crying. Now I'm crying for real. And now I'm pissed off with God. You don't do what nobody tell you to do. This was it. But God takes care of babies and alcoholics because I can show you a newspaper clipping where he never lost his license. He never lost his license for that accident. But he jumped out cussing because he had spilled his whiskey. So I want you to know that God takes care of babies and alcoholics. But I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to cut it short for you. I did move back home, and I moved back home with the intent of making him so miserable he would leave because it was the best thing for me to do. And I did the dumb stuff. I ran the ribbon down the middle of the house. This half is yours, this is mine. Don't come on mine, I won't come on yours. But he had to have it with the bathroom, so that didn't last long. And then we're living now like strangers. This is your phone, this is my phone. I won't answer yours, you don't answer mine. We were living like crazy people. But his phone rang, and I went home to make it miserable, right? His phone rang, and I answered it. And there was this man on the phone. He said, hello, may I speak to Bob? And I said, who is this? He said, this is Jim. May I speak to Bob? I said, what do you want? He said, lady, I want to speak to Bob. I said, if you don't tell me, you won't talk to Bob, so I hung up. He was persistent, guys. We played this game for a while. He finally said, I answered the phone. Hello, lady, this is Jim. Would you let me speak to Bob? I told him, not till you tell me what you want. He said, but I just want to speak to Bob. If you don't tell me, you won't speak to him. I hung up again. We did this forever. I don't know how I blinked, but I came back in the room and Bob was on the phone. He said, Jen, that was Jim from Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm going to AA. So you know I told him I didn't care where he went and how fast he got there, right? But he did. He got showered and he went to AA. And he came back with this envelope and had some names and some stuff inside. And he come talking about some 90 meeting, 90 days, whatever. You know alcoholics don't do nothing too long, right? I didn't care. But something happened because for the next 2 weeks, every evening he'd come in, he'd rush to eat, he'd shower, he'd change clothes, and he'd go to these meetings. Now, after about that second week, he started, and you know, the wheels started to turn. He started to look a little good again. I'm like, now what's to this AA stuff? You got to go. So the devil said, follow him. And I did. First night I followed him to Loretta Hospital. No big deal. Some guys got out the car, they walked in. The second night, though, they went to St. Anne's Hospital. It was 2 women getting out of a car when he got out the car. And what do 2 AA people do when they see each other? They hugged. When they hugged, I jumped out my car. I started acting real crazy. So this is why you come into the AA stuff. They don't know who I am. And I'm threatening a woman named Big Barbara T, who I had to look up as the woman was 6-something. I'm threatening her, and then this lady over here that was a little taller than I was, a great big eyes. I'm talking about her. I'm acting real crazy. Do you know God take care of me too? Because he didn't let them women beat me down. Barbara T, in her story, told him about this crazy woman that she met in the parking lot. She's in Florida now. The last time I heard from her, she was in Florida. But do you know that woman never said anything to me? And my husband was trying to tell me about this hugging and loving and sharing and caring program that I didn't care nothing about. But this is why you sticking with this AA stuff. But God, no, they went inside. They didn't say anything to me. My husband apologized for my behavior and told me I was acting crazy, but I didn't care. My husband has 3 weeks on me and 3 weeks of AA on me. Because at the end of his 3rd week, he came in, he said that the Colon Club was having a banquet, would I go with him? And I said no, because I don't want to be around a bunch of drunks. But he knew how to get me. He said, Jen, if you go with me, I'll buy you a new outfit. I told him, throw in the shoes and I'll go. He did. And we went to this hall on Halsted. And listen to the size of his mouth. Yep, that's a drunk, his shoes ain't shine. That's a drunk, his hair ain't combed. I'm going down the line. He was like, Jen, please, shh, shh, shh. Jen, please. And I was just as loud and vocal as I am today because I didn't want to be there. But I'm going to straighten this out. As it turned out, all the ones I pointed out was drunk was not alcoholics. I know that today. But anyway, for whatever reason, his seat was right up front. And there was this lady sitting there. And I'm going to tell you what I heard. I'll tell you what she said later. I heard her say, honey, I know where you are because I'm married to an alcoholic too. So if you come to Loretta Hospital on Wednesday night, we'll show you how to beat them up, misuse them, and abuse them. That's what I heard. So I done slid my chair close to her because I want some more of this Loretta Hospital stuff. And she was like, well, give me your phone number. I gave her my phone number. And now I'm ready for this stuff. Wednesday night, oh yeah, we're going to do this on Wednesday nights. I got him then. Everything was fine. I was enjoying her company until her husband walked off that podium. He was one of the main speakers. And she got to the table and she said, hi, I want you to meet Al, my beloved alcoholic. There's a lot of B's that go with an alcoholic, but beloved ain't one of them. Let me tell you something, folks. Now let me tell you what she said. She told me that she knew the effects of alcoholism and that if I would come to Loretta Hospital on Wednesday nights, they would show me how to live. That's what she said. Now, I heard her. Don't ask me why I didn't hear it first. But let me tell you something. If you're not serious about Al-Anon, do not give an Al-Anon member your phone number. That woman with that soft voice called me every day. Hi, how you doing? This is Aileen. Just called to see how you were doing. I'm fine. Don't forget to meet on Wednesday night. Yeah, okay. I hang that phone up and say, I ain't going nowhere. She called me that Monday. She called me that Tuesday. Meeting at Loretta Hospital is every Wednesday night. She called me that Wednesday at 5. This is Aileen. Don't forget to meet at Loretta at 8. I said, okay. I slammed that phone down. I ain't going nowhere. She was just getting on my nerves. She called at 6. She said, listen, Al and I got to pass your house. Why don't we just swing by and pick up you and Bob? I was like, no, I got my own car. I'll come. I went to Loretta Hospital to get that woman off my back. And do you know what? I went there. And they had, at Loretta, it was called the Bridge back in the day. AA went that way. Al-Anon went that way. Alateens went that way. And you came back and it was this bridge when you got ready to leave. So they zapped the kids that way. He went that way. I go that way. I walk into this room and guess what y'all doing? Y'all sitting around talking, smiling. My first thought is, what the hell y'all smiling for? And then the lady that invited me, she comes, hi, darling, come on in, meet so-and-so, and all y'all still smiling. Hi, I'm so-and-so. what is they grinning for? What is wrong with y'all? So, then you want to introduce yourself. You're a newcomer. Well, welcome. And you're still smiling. What is you smiling for? Stop smiling. I'm hurting. Y'all trying to smile. So, I did come in. My very first meeting at Loretta Hospital, topic for the night, insanity. So y'all go around the room. Yes, I know I was insane because I did this. Yes, I know I was insane because I did that. And, there's 20-some people in this room, and all y'all running around hollering, yeah, y'all know y'all was insane because y'all did this. And then we got a little thing in Al-Anon where you're the most important, I'm a newcomer. You're the most important person in the room. Do you have something to say? Yes, I certainly do. Y'all crazy. Oh, y'all crazy. Y'all been brainwashed. And y'all looking at me like, you certainly are crazy. What's wrong? I'm vocal, right? The lady with the big eyes was sitting on the other side of me. That lady that invited me here with the soft voice. She told me, she said, baby, it'll be all right. This one say, you ain't so tough. And I looked at her and said, you ain't so tough either. She said, keep coming back. I told her, if you come back, I'll come back. So I proceeded to finish telling y'all about how y'all was, insane. Then you give me this, call me and all that. And then you get up and you say the Lord's Prayer. I'm pissed off with God. So I ain't saying that either. And then when you get ready to go, then you want to hug me. Well, see, I didn't know about that. So I didn't let them hug me because I told them, look, I'm not gay. And they let me get away with it. So I came back that next week, but I did them a favor. I rewrote the steps for you. Typed them up and everything. Because y'all didn't have them right. So I came in all proud of myself. For this tough lady, I done redid your steps in 1 week. In fact, I think I did them the same day. But I went on to tell you guys, I'm still the most important person in the room, how we worked your steps for you. We wrote your steps to where they made sense. The lady over here with the soft voice said, sweetie, it'll be all right. This one over here said, before you try to change them, why don't you try working them? I told her, if you can work them, I can work them. But I don't know when the miracle happened. But a miracle happened because I did, out of anger, what she said, out of maliciousness. And somewhere a miracle happened. That plastic smile that I used to have when I walked out my door, I didn't need it. My stomach didn't hurt as much. The kids didn't act as crazy as normal. And I was able to actually sleep without trying to take some kind of medication to make me sleep. I don't even know when all this happened. I wish I could tell you, like some people, it happened October, what? I don't know when it happened. But all of a sudden, I didn't come to Loretta Hospital for this tough lady. I came because something was making me feel better. And I don't even know when it happened. But I started to feel good. And them people that sit around that room when you come in, they be smiling. I became one of them people and didn't know it. Not so long ago when a newcomer told me that, I had to laugh. Because we're in that room and we're talking to each other and we're smiling because we all know we've been there. And but for the grace of God, we're just one step from it today, but we're okay today. So we're rejoicing, we're happy for life. So I told her, I said, sweetheart, I know how you felt with all of us smiling. But one day, if you work these 12 steps of Al-Anon, you will smile too. That's my gift to you. Just actively work this 12-step program and you will smile too. But I went on and that old boring lady that get up and take up too much time in the meeting could no longer do it, which we were glad. She was called the group representative of the GR. We hated when she got up there because it was just wasting the good part. She was as dry as dust. So she could no longer do it. And I had been in this program, I guess, 7 or 8 months. I don't know when, but I'm like the speaker ahead of me. I got roped into this. We need a GR. Oh, you're going to be the GR. These two ladies that were now, I was talking about, were now my sponsors. I had one with a halo with the soft voice, and the other one had a pitchfork and horns and a tail. But she said, you're going to be the GR. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Nobody want that woman in here no way because she's so boring. She said, well, Al-Anon is not dead. So put some life into it. And you will be. And back then, you inherited 4 or 5 books. And they were orange and brown and all in a 3-wing binder. Nowadays, they're all nicely bound for y'all. We had all in a 3-wing binder with a lot of books. And they really expected you to read it. Plus, they would make changes, and you had to put the leaflets in wherever they made changes. But I did. I did it because I wanted what they had. And they let me know, if you want what we got, you do what we did. And that was okay with me because I wanted it. And I did that GR thing, and I remember she said, put some life into Al-Anon. Al-Anon ain't dead. We're happy people. And I don't have to say, and the DR said, and just tell them the highlights. This is what we got going. This is what the district is doing. And sit down and let's get to the meeting. But you got to do the business part. So I did. And then a couple of years later, our DR left, and I got elected DR for District 3B. And because I was the DR for District 3B, went to something called an assembly, got elected area group secretary. Back in the day, there was no computer. There was a green box with index cards. And every time you change time, place, anything, you had to do the index cards. It was actually a file box. I didn't have computer then, back in the day, but you did it. And you people waited till I made one change, and then you want to change something else. But that was okay, because you told me when I got busy, I got better. Then from there, I got elected the alternate delegate for the state of Illinois North. And I did my 3 years there, and thank God I was elected finally as delegate for the state of Illinois. I did that, I served there, and I came back after delegate as chairman. And I did. And let me tell you, as I got busy, I got better. And I'll tell all of you, do something. Get busy. Get active in service. Get yourself a sponsor. That's why I got mine sitting there now. God took away my 2 sponsors I had, but that was okay, because he took them away to put somebody else in my life. All I got to do is go to meetings, work my 12-step program of Al-Anon. That's it. That's not a lot. Now, I'm going to close, but I'm going to tell you about mine. God has a sense of humor. Okay? He always has. God blessed me with an addictive daughter. I have a daughter who loves cocaine. Okay? And she is now 37 years old. And she still loves cocaine. We found out at the age of 17 that she was addicted to this stuff. And she is known as the rehab queen. She's in and out of rehabs like most people are in and out of a church door. That's painful for a parent. You see, my husband is an alcoholic. I can give him back to his mama. This is mine. What do I do? But for the grace of God and help of this program, I give it back to the man who gave it to me. This program allowed me to bring my heart and my head together. And I gave her a choice. Me, you, and cocaine cannot live in the same house. And the last time I looked, my name was on the mortgage. So you get a choice. And she chose to go out there in those streets. There's been times when there's been months and months and months, and I have no idea if she's living or dead. But I have a higher power who loves me. Because when she falls heavy on my mind, I'm either going to hear from her or see her or something. But I'm going to tell you about this ugly disease that she has. I was on my way to work one morning, and there's a stop sign at the end of my block. And I heard a voice say, "Good morning, Mama." I looked around, I saw a person, but I didn't know it was my daughter. That's how ugly that disease had taken her down. But I was able to say good morning to her and let her know that I loved her. And I pulled off. You see, me, the mother in me wanted to get out and hug her and take her and feed her and clean her up and make her look like my daughter. But the Al-Anon in me says every tub's got to sit on its own bottom. And why am I going to put me through this? You see, every time she was coming to my house, when my house was open to her, every time she leaves something of mine that I like left with her. And I don't have to be uncomfortable in my own home. And I saw her this morning. She's doing what she does best. She's in another rehab center. But my daughter's clean time has only been 2 years of constant clean. But it doesn't matter to me today. Now, we raised her 2 children. She has 5, but 2 of her oldest kids we raised. And I've got one in DeKalb College, and I've got one in Charleston College. And you know what? God still has a sense of humor. Because he allows her to be around those kids, and they still have faith in your mom. But you know what? I don't get into it. I really want to say to her, can't you see what you're doing to your children? But I don't. I let her know I love her unconditionally. If you're hungry and I've cooked, I'm going to feed you. But if I haven't cooked, I ain't finna get up and cook nothing. That's how I feel. I cannot do for her what she should be doing for herself. She's been in the system. She's been to prison. And prison couldn't change her. So if prison couldn't change her, the only thing that I can do is let my higher power have her. This morning she said to me, well, I'm on my way to another rehab center. I said, okay, have a good trip. Okay, that's all I can say. I love you, see you soon. I know what she can do. I know how she can be. But if I don't stand firm, I know what it'll do to me. And Al-Anon taught me to love me. And that's what I do. I love me first. There's a lot of people I love. But I love Geneva first. Because I can't take care of anybody else until I take care of me. And taking care of me simply means letting go and letting God. Thank you.